else longer when you were meditating or have tried this
I
practice?
probably have tried a few times. I'm not sure how long.
How long
I think
is
it's
it?
supposed to be 30 minutes or something.
Right, right. Don't do that to yourself. That is one more recipe for failure or feeling like a failure. How long were you trying?
Like 30 minutes.
30 minutes. You know, I meditate for 30 minutes twice a day now, and I'm 15 years in. And it's plenty. So 10 minutes. So, you know, and I have people go, oh, I can't meditate, I don't have the time. Who doesn't have 10 minutes? What do you not waste 10 minutes on? How many times a day? Facebook, just saying. And you have to cut that out so I don't get sued. So let's look at the syllabus real quick. So, you know, and sometimes we go on stuff and sometimes we don't. Benefits of meditation, the science piece, we can talk about that if, in case any of you are interested in the science piece. Creating your space, we'll talk about that. Because I want to give you the ABCs. I want you to know where to do, what to do. I mean, part of it is I didn't know how. You know, how many of you thought you should know how to meditate? Like this should be a natural process, right? A lot of people have said, well, it's a natural process. And that means what? I'm supposed to osmotically know how to do it? Well, walking is a natural process too, but didn't you learn that at some point? Talking you learned. So it's the same thing. If nobody taught you, how did you give yourself the pressure that you weren't doing it right or you didn't know how to do it? Like that's our go-to. I'm going to judge myself and I'm going to give myself pressure about something. And so I'm going to literally tell you how to, where to, and what that all looks like. We're going to use a mantra. A mantra is a tool. Man means tool, mind. So the prefix, the man part means manas, of the mind, and tra just means tool, so it's a tool for the mind. It doesn't mean that you're praying to something. If you have a religion that you like, that speaks to you, keep that. This is, you know, I've had people really not show up and not come because they didn't want to insult or go against their religion. And I'm here to tell you, every major religion on the planet has a meditation practice. It may not be this one, but this is not replacing your religion. You go to church, enjoy that, please do that. This adds to. If you're in any sort of counseling, this is not against that. It's, as a matter of fact, it's a beautiful practice together. When I was in counseling, my counselor was like, well, thank God you meditate because I can't take this whole thing on, right? So it was only so much she could do. It was a little messy. And so know that, you know, this is on its own. Jess, I love that you're doing the Oprah debunk thing. Normally I would ask that this be your only practice for this 4 weeks, just so it sets in. The reason we do it for 4 weeks is because 22 days sets a habit. You know that? Anything good or bad, like if you have a donut for 22 days, you're probably gonna have one every day for the rest of your life. And so 22 days really sets in a habit, so I would ask you to make the commitment to yourself, like this is all I'm gonna do. And I made that commitment for a year the first time. I wasn't gonna do any other practices, but this for a year. So I would ask to give it a chance that you make that commitment. Does that sound okay? Don't ever ask to, you know, so many times, and if you don't feel comfortable talking in front of people, that's fine, but I would ask that if you have a question, ask it here, because everybody's gonna benefit, because believe me, half the people in the room have the exact same question as you have. I can guarantee you that. So you're actually helping and you're doing service, because people go, I don't want to bother anybody, I don't want to take anybody's time. It's not about that. It's about somebody else has that question, so certainly share it. The scientific benefits of meditation, if this is at all interesting to you. I like the brain science of it. I mean, there certainly is other parts of the science to it. I mean, it definitely regulates blood pressure. I had a man with high blood pressure come in, and within a week, he was regulating without meds. I'm not telling you to get off your meds. I'm just saying this has physiological effects. The brain piece, or a couple of the brain pieces are, the amygdala is in the deep center of your brain. That, it's a little tiny thing, but it can expand and get bigger. It is responsible for your fight or flight response. The amygdala sends messages to your adrenals. Your adrenal glands, they sit on top of your kidneys, and they send out adrenaline. Now, animals will have a fight or flight response when their lives are truly in danger. Humans have that response if somebody in front of you online at the checkout stand writes a check, right? It's like we're having this response all day long. Our lives are not in danger, but we are constantly stressed and elevated by everything. And so what happens is the amygdala, that part of your brain, actually grows. Your fight or flight kicks in more and more. Your adrenal glands get overtaxed. I hang out with a lot of yogis, and they will look at me and go, my adrenals are shot, like they know what their adrenals feel like. But, yeah, we get a little kooky. But the fact is, yeah, they're shot. They're tired. There's only so much adrenaline that you can pump out before it's exhausted. We only have so much. We only make so much. So with meditation, the amygdala literally shrinks down. Your reactivity time and frequency slows down. It's pretty amazing that this, I promise you, this happens over time. Okay? The prefrontal cortex is the happy part of your brain. Over time, with meditation, it actually expands and gets thicker. So our happy receptors are literally growing. So fight or flight gets smaller, happy receptors get bigger. This is physiological, this is proven. But what I'll tell you is, has anybody ever seen, because I look at this stuff on the internet, they have monks with electrodes on their heads, because they're testing them to see what happens. You've seen this, Rick? When people meditate on a regular basis, because obviously Buddhists, monks, they made a promise. They're wearing the robes, they're going to do this on a regular basis. So the researchers were like, well, these guys are a pretty good bet, right? So what I'm saying is, if you meditate once a month or once a year, do you feel like you're going to have those same effects? It's not going to happen like that. Once you get into a habit and a routine, then you can expect to see those changes over time. Does that make sense? So that's some of the science pieces. There's a ton more science to say why this is the practice, and they're just doing studies constantly about meditation, and we're trying to take it out of the yoga studio into the streets, right? Headspace, there's corporate meditation, it's everywhere, so it's not just for yogis anymore, and they're using it sort of instead of medication as well, right? We'd rather have meditation. Don't quit your medication right now, please. So any questions on all that? So we'll talk about the types of meditation. So like I said, we're going to do mantra meditation. So when I was coming up in my practice, anybody heard of TM, Transcendental Meditation? I'm slurring. Transcendental Meditation. It was big in the 60s, right? It was Maharishi 60s, 70s kind of thing. Bless you. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who was my teacher's teacher, came to America, and he taught Transcendental Meditation. So that's the lineage that I come from. And in Transcendental Meditation, you get your own mantra. So you're initiated, it's a process, there's stuff, it's great, I've done it. I decided I did not want to teach in exactly that same lineage because I felt like it was cost prohibitive. And my ulterior motive for teaching this is for everybody to meditate. So I really want this to be accessible to everyone, not just the scattered few that can afford thousands of dollars to do this. And so I got a lot of value out of that lineage. So when Roseanne and Harvey say, I always hear something different, it's because I'm still always studying and learning too, right? I'm always, delving in and doing more. So hopefully I have more to offer you. But I went and got certified by a woman named Sarah McLean, and her meditation practice was very, very mainstream. So what I've done is I've melded the two, right? So I'm not going to sell you your own mantra. I'm not going to give you your own mantra. We're going to use what I call a canned mantra. It's beautiful. It's the most base mantra. And in fact, you guys that have been with me before, I've been teaching this mantra for, 6 years or so now. And just a while ago I was studying, and it had something about and it's not a big secret, it's the Soham mantra, and I'll talk to you more about it later, but I found out sort of more about it. So I learned more about why we teach it, even why I teach it, and what it means and the beauty of that mantra. So we are going to be using that. If for any reason you are uncomfortable with Sanskrit, which is fine with me, if you're uncomfortable with this particular mantra, we can use something else. Just come to me and I'll give you something else. You can meditate on the word love. You can meditate on a number. You can, it doesn't, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, and I'll tell you later why it matters, but the most important thing is that you're comfortable with what you're doing, right? You're not going to do it if you're not comfortable with it. So if you need something different, you let me know. And so in this case, the mantra is actually twofold. Sanskrit is an ancient language. So it was never a conversational language, right? It's the language they use in yoga. Kind of like Hebrew, wasn't really meant to be a conversational language. It was really meant to be a scriptural language, right? To pass down wisdom, higher wisdom, wisdom that is higher than our normal spoken word. And so the mantra is actually twofold. It does have some power of its own, but also it's really just a tool to focus. So that's basically all you're doing. You're using something to focus your attention on. Okay? One thing that I want to say, and I'm just going to use this for a second for notes. Last time, were you with me last time when I decided? Last year I went keynote crazy. I decided I was going to do PowerPoints for everything. Just because I learned how to do PowerPoints, I'm like, let's PowerPoint everything. And so then tonight, and so one of the things I've also said to friends lately is that the gift for me of meditation right now is that I've been working these days pretty much 100% on intuition. Because the still small voice within you is actually your highest wisdom. You guys know the still small voice? The one you tell to shut up all the time? And it's your highest wisdom. You go, no. You don't know what you're talking about. And then you go ask 7 people their opinions, as if their opinions meant anything at all. How many times have you said to yourself, I'm so sorry I listened to my intuition? Right? Right? But how many times have you said, I should have listened, I knew. That is spirit coming up to you and going, hey, pay attention to me. But because all of this stuff has built up over this still small voice, we can't even hear it anymore. Like, what are you talking about? What's still small voice? I don't hear anything. We can't hear it anymore because it's really been occluded by everybody's voice, everybody's opinion. So what we're going to do is crank up the volume. And just by sitting with that part of yourself for 10 minutes twice a day, the volume is going to start to crank up, and the noise will eventually, I promise, start to slow down. Does that make sense? Anybody have a busy mind?
Mm-hmm.
What? Nobody?
Yes.
Anybody ever tried to quiet it down? Anybody think that meditation is about quieting your mind? Yeah. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Your mind has one job. Guess what it is?
To go blah, blah, blah.
To go blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Your mind has one job, and it's to think. And if you sit down and you think that you're going to tell your mind to stop that or make that stop that, you're going to spend those 10 minutes fighting with your mind and trying to shut it down. So that part of your mind is a 2-year-old. Some of you have had 2-year-olds. Some of you have been 2-year-olds. The way to get a 2-year-old to do what you want it to do, I promise you, is not by force. We know this. But maybe you jiggle the keys a little bit. Distraction techniques. That's what a mantra is. Okay? And some of my most beautiful teachers put it this way. You're just going to put your attention on something more charming. That peace within you is something more charming. It's beautiful. It's blissful. It is limitless. It is endless. It is yours. Everything in the natural world, and this we'll talk about next week as well, everything in the natural world, which is everything, is a play, a show, and it is beyond your control, and it is fluctuating, and it is changeable. This peace within you is unchangeable. It is a constant flow of bliss. You can call bullshit whenever you want. When you start to practice, and I had a student quite some time ago, and she was in agony for a long time, and she raised her hand and she said, when I go in, I'm still finding judgment. And I said, you haven't gone in far enough. So when you go down these layers of consciousness, if you still find judgment, it's okay, you just haven't gone down far enough. If you find anything other than bliss, you just haven't gone down far enough. And that's okay. It's going to happen on its own over time. So when that judgy voice comes in, you get to go, oh, I know you. You're not the truth. It's just not the truth. It's something we've been conditioned with and by, and especially if it's judgment about your meditation. I can't say this enough. You cannot do this wrong. You can't do this wrong. You can think you do it wrong, but you can't do it wrong. So what's going to happen with that chitter-chatter mind is it's going to keep doing its thing. It's going to chatter, and you're going to judge it, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to get mad, or you're going to go, I hear you. I'm just going to go over here for a second. And one of the beautiful things about this practice is that the old belief system or the old paradigm was that one-pointedness, right? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to reach nirvana, and I'm going to, my eyes are going to roll back, and I'm going to go into bliss, and my mind's going to be blank, and anything other than that is a failure. What is the new understanding is, and Pema Chodron talks about this, and all the teachers, the teachers that we met at the Buddhist Center at Kadampa, they talk about it all the time, right? It's a wave. Your mind will naturally run off the rails. Your job is simply to go gently, lovingly, bring it back. And then it's going to go off the rails in this direction. And then you're going to bring it back. Ram Dass talks about this. He starts and he says this mantra, and then he says, I can't believe they're paying me to do this job. Right? I can't believe I have a PhD to teach people this. I've seen him talk about this. So it's this. Meditation at this point, at many points, forever, is not this yet. It's this. Sweet. You're going to get all the benefit anyway. It's going to happen. It's beyond your control. You show up, this is going to happen, you're going to get everything that you're supposed to get out of this. So any pressure to quiet your mind, let it go right now. And I will tell you, I will guarantee you that somebody will come in the coming weeks and go, I just can't quiet my mind. Because it's our nature. It's our nature to believe that that's our job. And it's very hard, we've been talking about this a lot lately, to change that core belief. That that's what we have to do, that that's our job. To change our approach to this process if we've been approaching it in a certain way forever. So if I could do anything today, it would be to shift that in you. To really make you believe that whatever happens in your 10 minutes on the cushion is fine. Because no matter what happens or doesn't happen in your 10 minutes on the cushion, your life will get better off the cushion. It's never about what happens on the cushion. I just can't emphasize that enough. It's never about that. If you spend every minute of that 10 minutes with busy mind and obsessing, you're still going to get the benefit of meditation. I know that's really hard to believe. And so if you can just keep coming back to the cushion and trust that process. I promise you things will shift. I promise you things will shift. But, you know, the one thing that I ask is that you show up. How are we doing? You okay? You need a break? Or should we press on? Okay, good, let's press on. If you ever do need a break, let me know. And the bathrooms are special here, there's a key, so you need me to go to bed. So the first thing that's gonna happen let's go to here. Let's go to the outside stuff and then we'll talk about the inside stuff. Incidentally, you cannot change anything on the outside until you change the inside. FYI. You can try this, that, and the other. You cannot change anything on the outside of your life until you change the inside. Does that make you not happy? But, you know, the good news is this is so easy. This is so easy. If this isn't easy, call me. This is easy. This is easy. Imagine just doing this and your life begins to shift. Imagine. I mean, literally this week I went, universe, throw me a bone, like I could use a little break here. And the universe dropped a brontosaurus rib in my lap. I was thinking a little bone, milk bone, but I got unbelievable gifts. So let's get to the little brass tacks stuff. So the first thing you're gonna do when you go home or tomorrow morning is you're going to create a space in your home, okay? Really important to create a space in your home. Now, some have the opportunity to do that and some don't. You might say, I live with 50 people in my house. I don't have an inch or a minute. Like, I get that. So your space could be as much as a room this size. I've had people meditate in closets if they had to, or take a corner of a bedroom. And if you have people in your world, they're just gonna have to understand it. You know, part of this is creating space for yourself in your life, right? That's important. I recommend you set up something. This is actually a little portable puja table. You can put a little table. You can just have a chair and not a table. I've seen people. I used to meditate with a friend of mine. We'd go into Joshua Tree in the desert to retreats, and this guy would schlep suitcases full of crystals. Like, he had so much stuff, and he had to bring it. And he would take a day setting up his room. He had to have all his stuff. And I thought, oh my gosh. So you can go as far as that. I recommend against it, and I'll tell you why. You can go as elaborate as that, or as simple as a cushion, or a chair, or anything like that. But we want to set a space that you come to every single day, because you're imbuing that space with an energy, right? Now, in the beginning, when it's difficult, and it will be difficult, in the beginning, when it's difficult, you're going to look at that space and go, crap, I have to meditate now, right? Right? Because you still got that judgment piece going on, right? That's your judgment piece that doesn't want to go there. And eventually you're going to go, oh, I get to meditate. I mean, how many times in your life is nothing else going on? Nothing's required of you. Nobody's there. Nothing's pulling at you. Like, kind of a little vacation a couple of times a day. If you think about it that way, right after it's a punishment, it's a little vacation a couple of times a day. So set the space for you. You may have pictures of people that you love. You might have elements. Some people put water, fire, metal, wood, that kind of thing. Just do something that, you know, if you like saints, if there are saints you like, put a picture of the saint. I like to have fire. I usually have some incense. This is Shiva Nataraj. That's Ganesh. He's my guy. So, you know, anything that means something to you. And, you know, by the way, I was brought up Jewish in New York, right? We are like largely against idolatry, right? And so my grandmother's now rolling over. But truly, she's in a better place, so she understands this is just a statue and it's fine. But, you know, so sometimes we have to get around things that you know, our own sort of stigma around things, right? So it can be an elaborate space, it can be a simple space, but I really want you to have a space for yourself, okay? Yeah.
Is outside? Okay. Or is it
I'm gonna tell you about outside. There are bugs. There are bugs, there are noises, there are distracting things. So if you feel like it and you love it and you're not distracted and it makes you feel fabulous, yes, but I will tell you in the beginning, it can be super challenging and distracting. I mean, it is for me now. I'm totally 100% convinced there's a mosquito on me, and there's not, right? So it's going to pull me out of my space. So, it can be beautiful, it can be lovely, you can try it, but I think it's a distraction. Sorry. And I'll talk about, kind of that stuff. But taking your seat. This is totally 100% unnecessary, right? So the old belief system was you had to sit up, you had to have your back straight, you had to have your hands like this. So it took out 50% of the population. People who couldn't sit on the floor. People who couldn't sit. What if you're injured and you can't sit? I spent 6 months laying on my back because I was injured and I couldn't sit. So, illness, whatever, comfort. You want to sit in a chair? Sit in a chair. I would ask you not to lay down because laying down is associated with sleep, and you'll either fall asleep or you'll have trouble sleeping later. So I'd ask you not to lay down for this particular type of meditation. Yoga Nidra, beautiful, lay down. I can't make it through 3 minutes of Yoga Nidra without sleeping. That said, if you happen to fall asleep during meditation, don't use it as another opportunity to beat yourself up. You needed some sleep. And you still got the benefit of the meditation because your body is sleeping and that bliss center is not. It's still getting whatever you meant it to get. So don't take it as another opportunity to beat yourself up. You sleep, you sleep. You don't, you don't. So make yourself comfortable. Get yourself comfortable. We're only talking 10 minutes. I like to have the hips raised up a little bit because I have a back injury. It's helpful for me. It's kind of the optimum, but you don't have to have that. Timing and timers. Don't use a clock. Don't use a regular clock. Why? You're going to be looking at the clock the whole entire time. I mean, it's bad enough with a timer. You'll be looking at the timer, right? But if you use a regular clock, you're going to be looking at the clock. So are you guys, most people, smartphone users? I just can't stand that term smartphone because my phone definitely thinks it's smarter than I am, right, when it corrects my words. So there are apps on there. That's what I meant. There's an app for that will give you a timer, and they're free. So if you want to write this down, there's Insight Timer. There's something literally called Meditation Timer, right? They offer guided meditations, but there's also just timers on there if you want to use the just timers. So
what was the name of that again?
The first timer is called Insight Timer, INSIGHT, and that's a great one. You can set tones and everything, whatever you like. And the other one is literally just called Meditation Timer, and they've got gongs or something like that. Do you use one of those apps or use an egg timer?
I just use the phone timer.
Yeah.
You choose the tone you want.
Beautiful. So you don't even have to have an app.
No.
It's just like a stopwatch or something on the phone.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm not advanced enough to figure that out. So that's it. You are going to set your space. You are going to take your seat. You're going to set your timer, 10 minutes, and then you're going to get up and go about your day. And you're done. You're done. You don't have to do anything else about it until your second meditation that day. When does the first meditation happen in the day? Our friend Deepak Chopra says RPM. Rise, pee, meditate. And that's how we roll. Why?
Before coffee.
Yes, before coffee and before everything. So I'm out. Carla's out.
Bye-bye.
This was fun. I'm going to go now. So let me see what time it is because I want to, and it's also getting hot in here, so I want to fiddle with that. So let's, you guys ready to take a break for a couple minutes? There's water. There's veggies and fruit. Stretch your legs. We'll take like a 7 minutes. 7 minutes is my favorite time in the world. So take a 7-minute break. Stretch yourself out. If you need to use the bathroom, you need my key. And I'm happy to give it to you. It's down the hall. but, take a couple minutes,
Feel better?
and I will, work with the temperature. I'll take your key.
Feel better?
I will take your key. Hey, girls, if you